How does a gap in a stock price affect the overall support and resistance areas? And why does the gap fill strategy work so often? Gonna break it down in this video how we traded MRNS this morning, trading the gap fill strategy, figuring out where to take profit at on this gap fill strategy here on MRNS. So stay tuned. So we're taking a look here at MRNS this morning. It gapped up from the $3 area. It got up here pre-market, had a little bit of trouble there at the $4 area, pulled back, and then ended up going higher and higher and higher all the way up here to 540. So that was a big move from 350 up there to 540, basically pre-market. Right there at open, big jump up, and then all of a sudden got that kind of same move. It got to that 540 area and then crashed down. Well, why did that happen? What was the reason? Where was that resistance at? Where was that support at? If you look at the daily chart, it gives you a better idea. Looking at the weekly chart, actually, you can zoom out back here and go back in time here. Looking at MRNS, this stock used to be up in the $20. It's gotten killed recently, like most biotech stocks do, but you can see here this gap on the chart. This is what we were looking at. This gap right here from the 525 area down here to the $198, $2 area, and then it kind of bounced around there recently. You know, December, end of last year, this was like 97 cents. So it was actually under $1 for a little bit. But you can see this gap was actually back in June, July of last year, and kind of break this down, show you guys exactly where that support resistance is. So right there at the bottom of this candle, you know, we got 530, 525 area. Bang. That's that gap. So the gap, it gaps down here, it opens this up. You can see right here on the chart, it's very clear. There's a gap in the chart. Basically, bad news came out. Everybody ended up selling, or they got out. There's a bunch of selling. Get this huge gap down. The price gaps down. Basically, when I say it gaps down, it went from $5 to $2 instantly. There was no buying and selling in between there. It was literally just bang down. So it probably got halted. It had really bad news. It came out after hours or whatever it was. The stock opened much lower, and you can see there, crash. If you go back to the 5-minute chart now, you'll see where that resistance comes in. So there it is. That resistance that we were looking at from earlier, where that gap, the bottom of that gap was at the 525 area. And then look at this 5-minute candle here right at open. 527, holding it down there. It got a little spike up there. Obviously, you know, going to be some bit of a wiggle room there. But you can see that was all selling. It was nothing but selling above that 525 area. If you look here at the 1-minute chart, you can see it a little bit better how that worked out there. And it basically got right up there. Got a lot of resistance there at the 544 area. You know, people were hoping we're going to break over that gap area, that 525. They thought, you know, we might get a move above 525, go higher and higher, you know, $5.50, $6 if this news is really good. But you can see what happens. The shorts pile in right there. They know they can short it down. They know that gap finally filled. The gap filled. The buyers who bought this morning are now selling. They're taking profits because they also know the resistance is there. And bang. So basically what you have is you have people chasing right here, chasing this, trying to get that move, thinking that this is going to go higher and higher. And bam, MRNS gets killed there. So at that point, it was up like 60, 70%. Shorts pile in there. On this candle, it goes from 539 down there to 501. So 40-cent move there, crashes down there right away. Down to this $5 area, find some support there. I got in there at the break of $5, looking for that move up to that resistance. So that was kind of my goal, $5, whole dollar. Mental resistance is going to be there at the whole dollar. Looking for that gap to finally finish, finally fill that gap all the way there to 525 area. I took profit a little bit lower. MRNS working out, filling that gap perfectly. If you can look here, I don't know if it'll really basically right there. Up there to that 540 area, go across here. The bottom of this candle right there at the 56 area. So it got right to the bottom of that gap. It got crushed afterwards and came back down. So MRNS filling the gap there, showing you guys exactly how that worked out. It gapped up. It had good news. So we got this gap up from $3 up there to that $4 area, and then got the buying coming in, got the pressure. And the reason that gap fills is you get a lot of just empty space in the chart. There's not a lot of resistance. There's not a lot of support. And people start buying. People start rushing in there, trying to FOMO. They're chasing it. They're trying to get it to go higher. There's a little bit of news. The stock has momentum, has the volume there. Look at the volume on this. If you look at the daily chart, there's 20 million shares traded today. Big spike in volume. So you can see it gaps down. Volume kind of bouncing around a lot. And then volume this morning spikes it up. So the gap fills. And now we'll see what happens. If it wants to head higher, MRNS, if it finds support here in the $4 area, or if it just wants to come back down to that $3 area. We'll see how good that news really is and kind of play into that. And possible short, that's one of the reasons that I shorted MRNS once that gap filled, because I knew the gap filled, people started taking profit, and it was time to short it. And you can see it kind of worked out there. MRNS this morning. For the people who went short there at this $5 area, 520 area, got that move all the way back down here to the 410. So we basically came back down to that support from pre-market. Looks like it has a little bit of support there at the 410 area. It kind of moved back up here to the 480s, and now it's selling off again. We'll see what happens later on today, but this is a perfect setup. MRNS does not get any better than this when it comes to a gap fill, and there it is. Nothing new. It's not rocket science. This is not something that I created. It's literally just the idea of the gap on the chart filling and playing into that momentum when it's there.